Hello, beautiful soul family, the Army of Light Earth Division, the boots on the ground. It's Shauna L. Francis, and today is March 19th, 2023. If you're new to my channel, I'm so glad that you're here. There's so much to catch up on. I've been a channeling fool today. I'm so thankful that it's flowing so easily. Oh, what a relief. I spent about an hour with Melchizedek first today on a completely unrelated, surprising topic. And I do believe I'm going to make a separate video for that, maybe even tonight. We'll see how it goes. But for this particular video, I want to go through what Queen Elizabeth had to say today. We talked at length about the mind control tactics that the negative reptilians use, how they do this, what it might be like, what these thoughts might be. And also, I had some time for Q&A with her, and I asked her about shape-shifting. So we're going to finally talk about shape-shifting today. So spoiler alert for the next video. Melchizedek, they're telling me what actually happened to that Malaysian Airlines MH370 that went down mysteriously here back in 2014. I'll explain how that all came to be, and we'll get into what Melchizedek had to say in the next video. So I'll either do that tonight, like I said, or tomorrow. Man, so yeah, so I spent about an hour with them, and really only about an hour and 20 minutes with the Queen today. We do have 1,800 words. I'm so thankful that it's flowing well. Thanks everybody for all the prayers, all the intention setting, all the support. We are rocking this thing. Everybody, it was truly a group effort to get this connection reestablished and free from any negative reptilian influence. I'm so thankful. Okay, so today, about noon, I checked in with the Queen after I'd gotten done talking with Melchizedek. Hello, Shauna. Hello, Elizabeth. I said, it's wonderful to speak with you. What a blessing, I said. Oh, she's like, oh, thank you, Shauna. That is so kind. Are you ready to get started? I said, yes, let's do it. She said here, we walk this path together. It may seem as though we are strolling along, and in some respects, we are doing just that. But in other regards, we are taking on a mighty, you could say, militarized regime who is not going to be taking orders from anyone else. They will not be expecting defeat, and they will fight diligently to maintain the status quo. I just got like this high-pitched ringing in this ear. Interesting. She said here, this has all been discussed, but we must not forget this. All right, we've been warned. We've been warned several times about this. She said here, this militarized regime has many resources at its disposal, one being the art of mind manipulation. This, unfortunately, she said, is something I just recently experienced directly, and I'm not happy about it, she said. I said, yes, this is unsettling to say the least. I love that I can laugh about this today because we've had two very easy channeling days with the Queen. She said, Shauna, I'd like to provide some information for those who feel that they or someone they know is experiencing some type of mind manipulation, thought influence from an outside source. I said, wonderful. She said, first I'll say, don't panic. Ask yourself, is this thought I'm having right now in alignment with the highest truth of my soul? Is this thought in alignment with who I know myself to be? Is this thought something I consciously originated? And she takes us through a few more questions here you can ask yourselves. Does this thought I'm having take me further away from who I want to be and how I want to act, think, or believe? Does this thought make me feel dominant over others? Does it make me feel more powerful than others? Does it make me feel smarter than others? Does it make me feel like I have inside knowledge that others don't have? Does this thought help confirm an us versus them mentality? Does it confirm that separation? Does this thought make you feel uniquely special in some way? Or conversely, does this thought make you feel unworthy, less than, or deficient in some way? Does a thought make you feel bad about yourself? Does it confirm or does it add evidence in some way that reinforces negative judgments you've made previously about yourself? Does it perpetuate and exacerbate negative thoughts that you have about yourself or others? Does this thought seem to come out of the blue, out of nowhere, catching you off guard? Do you ever wonder that I have thoughts that seem to be coming from my guides or from outside of me somehow, but they don't seem altogether loving, accepting, or of high vibration? She said here, if you have recurring thoughts that continually take you away from unconditional love, that reinforce any form of us versus them, or any kind of dominance over others, superiority, or a hierarchy, these thoughts are suspect, she said. If you have thoughts that tend to frame you as unworthy, unlovable, unattractive, unintelligent, any matter of self-flagellation, these thoughts are suspect. These thoughts are suspect. Separation. You from others. You from your divinity. My recommendation is that you look closely at the belief systems, the thoughts that both create this reality and also perpetuate it. We can see how separation is built into the very foundation of life on this planet. This is not by accident, she said. This was not a result of natural evolution of humanity over the millennia. This has been carefully coordinated, nurtured, and perpetuated by the negative reptilian regime. I'm telling you, I really would have had no idea that this kind of influence had gone so far. I mean, all these kinds of thoughts are, they just seem really normal for us. They do to me anyway. And no wonder it's so hard for us to love ourselves unconditionally. We have to really consciously think about that and make it a reality for ourselves. We've got to practice that. She said, how do we undo such a massively integrated view of this as the human condition? Like I was just saying, like this just seems normal. Like how do you unravel this? She said, it's not a matter of undoing necessarily. It's just choosing differently moving forward. One person at a time, one individual at a time. Making this choice. Making these choices every day. Being in awareness that there has been a deliberate and active campaign through massive mind manipulation tactics to keep humanity at a manageable level and in plenty of fear. She said, I'm sorry, Shauna, to bring this news. It's heart-wrenching. I see this from where I sit now. It is heart-wrenching. She said, awareness is the first step, Shauna, and this is where we sit today. Okay. And there's a bit of a pause here, and I said, Queen Elizabeth, may I ask a question? And she says, certainly. Excuse me. Can you tell us more about the actual mechanism by which these thoughts come to us as individuals, as a collective? How do they do this? She said, Shauna, the hive mind humans on the planet actually help amplify these general thought patterns on a massive scale. Like a blanket. Imagine that they, the hive mind humans, at the instruction of the reptilian leadership, help set the tone for specific thought patterns through energetic intention. Again, team, this is the exact same kind of tactics that we are to be using as light workers. And then in tandem, she said, the hive mind humans enact actual programs, systems, organizations, policies, and structures that support and reinforce these thought patterns. It all goes hand in hand. This is why, she said, so many of the guides, support teams, angelic and etheric realms, off-planet, higher dimensional beings like the Galactic Federation of Light have been so persistent and consistent about knowing who and what you are, knowing yourselves in choice, helping to give each of you, the tools to understand this, to remember this, and to take action with this knowing and remembrance. I said, thank you, Elizabeth. I said, may I ask another question? She said, certainly. I said, so this tone, this blanket of thoughts that keep us separate, keep us feeling bad about ourselves, keeping our vibrations low, can this be turned off by any of the higher dimensional off-planet light workers? For example, angelic, ET, ascended masters, etc. She said, actually no, Shauna, because at its most basic, this does not honor your free will. One act of free will defiance does not fix another act of free will defiance. This makes sense. Remember that humanity has made the collective choice to ascend. Humanity has asked for help. The call has gone out far and wide to come to the assistance and to the aid to humans as you become aware and eventually break free from the negative reptilian regime's influence. She said, this is still an effort that must be taken by the individuals on the planet out of free will. Those on the other side of the veil cannot do the work for you. Humanity's efforts are being supported. The Galactic Federation of Light, in some of my earlier channelings from maybe my first year on YouTube, they said before, this is not a rescue mission. They're not just going to come swoop in, save all of us, and make everything better. We have to, and they've said this to me specifically too, with my individual journey. I have to do the walking. I have to do the talking. They'll guide, support, give me everything I need to be able to be successful, but I have to do the work. And many times the GFL has said the same thing. We have to do the work. We have to be the ones taking the action. They can't make us do it. They can't do it for us. And I know that upsets a lot of people. She said, many have asked, why did it take so long for aid to come? Why has this egregious subjugation of humanity allowed to go on for so very long? She said, know, Shauna and team, that guidance and help have been coming in a steady stream ever since humanity as a whole decided to move forward with ascension. It was understood that a comprehensive plan would be created and carried out. It was understood that this would be a highly organized, multidimensional effort that would require a deep, wide, and varied contingency, working the plan from many angles and viewpoints. This we know is happening every day. She said, this plan has been underway for centuries. The plan continues to be on track. It's a delicate, complex situation involving, first and foremost, a species who has free will. Humanity wants the ability to exercise its free will on an individual basis, not slowing down or speeding up plans to serve the interests of specific people or groups, but to honor and accommodate the species as a whole. Yeah, so many of us, so many of you who've been on this path for a very, very long time. I'm relatively new at this, coming up at about 5 years here in a few months. You're like, enough's enough, let's just get on with it. And there's been impatience even in how slowly this information's coming forward. I mean, we really have to think of everybody here. Remember that we're the tip of the spear. We're helping, create an environment where those who are going to follow behind have a clear path. And she talks a little bit about this. She said it may be difficult to see and know this, but huge strides have been made with the raising of consciousness and the raising of vibrations here. Awakenings, epiphanies, remembering, connecting, she said. Many of you who have access to these messages are at the forefront of some of the most difficult truths, some of the biggest karmic debts. You forge a path that hasn't been walked before. You clear the way for others who will follow. It's a challenging choice. Challenging choice. The many points of light, she said, shining brighter and brighter in each moment. The momentum is speeding up. Those who feel that they may be caught in these lower vibration thought patterns will come to realize that there is no power here, nothing that can overtake one's connection to truth. Shauna, this knowing is growing and spreading and will continue to do so until one day this influence will be eradicated through the ascension, progression, and through freedom of choice. Yeah. Remember too, team, is it Melchizedek who talked about kind of these two divergent paths that are going to become more and more separate as we go along this journey together here on the planet. Those who are going to align more and more to the light and to high vibration, and those who are going to kind of stay more in the typical pathway, out of choice at a higher level, not ready to quite go this route, and that's fine. There's plenty to be learning, experiencing on that path as well, but these are going to be two divergent paths that are really going to get further and further away as time goes. I said, thank you so much, Elizabeth. And I did say, is there anything else for today? And she kind of paused and was kind of like, well, do you have any further questions? And I thought, oh my God, I have a million questions. We all have a million questions. I said, well, yes, and I have an ongoing list of questions, and near the top is asking about shape-shifting reptilians. And I think a few of you commented on this recently too. Okay, so I asked. I said, can we talk about shape-shifting reptilians? She said, yes, Shauna. I'm like, hallelujah. I said, I know that you said that when you were accosted at the palace, you saw one of the men's fingers turn into a scaly reptilian finger. So that's one of my earlier Queen Elizabeth videos. I said, what can you tell us about shape-shifting? Many people have reported this and have even reported seeing you as Queen Elizabeth turn into a reptilian through the eyes maybe. I said, thank you. She said here, Shauna, the negative reptilians use shape-shifting capabilities to further their agenda. So yes, this is a real phenomenon. This doesn't mean that the human doing the shape-shifting is actually a reptilian in form. Imagine it more of a kind of mind trickery in order to scare, intimidate, and confuse in most cases, she said. It can also be viewed as a sorry way to help keep humanity in the know of the reptilian presence, whereby presenting proof of their presence in order to help escape condemnation for thwarting humanity's free will. They're like, hey, well, we've told them we're here. We've shown ourselves to them. Well, no. She said, of course, this is not helping, and it is just furthering their agenda to keep humanity in fear and in a state of confusion. It also helps further their agenda because anyone who speaks out about seeing something as outlandish as a shape-shifting person is immediately called out as crazy. This is no accident. Shape-shifting occurs, she said, as a hive mind human projects a visual into the victim's mind. This actually may not be exactly conscious by the hive mind human. At times this can happen without their knowledge of what occurred. Of course, at the whim, though, of the hive mind leadership. So I'll say that again. How she's explaining how this happens is that the hive mind humans, either consciously or not consciously, will project an image into the people or person looking at them, to where they see something reptilian about the appearance. But it's really not that the actual form is changing, it's the other's perception of that form. So I could be looking just how I look, but if I'm looking at somebody else, I don't want to project a reptilian form. I just put that into your mind that you're seeing reptilian eyes or scales or something like that. I'm placing that image in your mind. That is how this is working, she explained. I think I got that right. I hope so. And she's saying not all the hive mind humans even realize that it's happening, that the negative reptilian leadership who is in control of the hive mind will have that happen on occasion. She said here, I will say again that hive mind humans are in fact human, but under the immensely powerful negative regime's control system. Okay. I said, thank you, Queen Elizabeth. How? I said, what can you say about your alleged shape-shifting while you were alive? And she chuckled. She's like, oh, thank you, Shauna. What I'll say is that I got quite a thrill from doing this on a small handful of occasions. This is not what I was expecting her to say. It kept people on their toes, she said. It felt like a game. I see now that this was no laughing matter, and of course, this was completely inappropriate and caused much fear and grief. For that, I am sorry, she said. I said, it sounds like, Queen Elizabeth, you shape-shifted on occasion by your choice. Can you explain that further? Can you please give an example of an occasion that you did this and why? She said, Shauna, none of that was premeditated. These were spontaneous blips in the moment, maybe 4 or 5 times in my lifetime. At first, I was experimenting with the idea, and then the past 2 or 3 times it was more for an impact of some kind, such as keep your distance. Yeah, you'd probably run like hell. Keep your distance. Wow. I said, thank you, Queen Elizabeth. I said, my goodness. I said, do you know if there are other hive mind humans doing this now? She said, Shauna, I imagine that they are. It's a tactic they use. I imagine we'll see more and more of this as the ascension progresses. Part of them wanting so desperately to maintain control. I said, okay, makes sense. I said, thank you. Thank you so much for answering my questions, I said. Is there anything else for today? And she said, Shauna, this feels complete for me. I said, me too. All right. So again, all of that content in like 1 hour and 15 minutes. It was so nice. It just flowed so easily. I'm so thankful. All right. So there's lots to ponder here about this mind manipulation situation. The Queen just coming out of that, having been mind manipulated to take her time with the information, not feel like a sense of urgency, kind of a sedation type feel. And, we also called this like a mental implant. So trying to get our arms around what this is and how does it happen? I still feel like I have a lot of questions. It's going to take me some time, I think, to really integrate this information today. All right, I'm going to call this video good for now. And I'll be making a video on the MH370. All right, team, I love you so much. Thank you for all your comments, support, love, your likes, your subscriptions, all this stuff. You guys are just the best. All right, team, I love you. I'll see you tomorrow. Mwah.